Welcome to Legends Among Us, a podcast devoted to the troopers and veterans of 3rd Cavalry Regiment. And today we have with us Private First Class Shanoy Gunning, who is one of our, I'm going to refer to you as a culinary specialist.
Okay.
Does that work?
Yes.
Okay. One of our culinary specialists who works in the Theodore Roosevelt dining facility. And very excited to have her with us today to kind of share her perspective on her time here in 3rd Cavalry Regiment and how she really contributes to ensuring that troopers are well fed and ready to fight our nation's wars. So, Private Gunning, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's good to have you here. I know it's about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So how's the day been going so far? It is a Friday, but you guys work 7 days a week.
Yeah, so far the day has been great. I just came from the DFAC.
Okay. When are you guys done? When do you stop operations for lunch?
For lunch, we stopped at 1. So from 11:30 to 1 o'clock.
Okay. But what does the rest of the day look like for you?
We would prepare dinner from 2:30 till 5 when we open, and then we close the DFAC at 6:30, and then we finish cleaning up from 6:30 to 7 o'clock.
Okay, so I think you were telling me earlier you've been at 3CR for about a year, a little over a year?
Yes, a year, a little over a year.
Okay. How has your time been here so far?
My time at 3CR has really been amazing. I've been introduced to so many opportunities. I came here when the whole unit was in Korea. So
Okay.
I was ready with my battle buddies that I came here with. I got the opportunity to go to the board, the chef of the board quarter, which I won. I also did competition against First Calv.
Okay.
And also 3CR came runner-up. It was me and my sergeant, First Class Thornton.
Okay.
We came runner-up. That was a great opportunity because it was my first time working in a DFAC.
That's awesome. That's great to hear. And we see the reports, they go up all the way to the RCO when it comes to how well you all do. But go back to the chef of the quarter. Actually, before we get into what you do now, why don't you just give us a little bit of backstory? You are a trooper in 3CR. I'm assuming you're assigned to Mule Skinner. Is that correct?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So you've been at Mule Skinner for a year, but you spend most of your time at Theodore Roosevelt. Before we even get into what brought you here, give us a little bit of your background.
So I'm originally from Jamaica, migrated to the U.S. in 2021. I lived in California and then decided to enlist in the Army.
Okay. And what was your motivation for enlisting in the Army?
Just to serve the country, do something good for myself, set a path for my future.
Okay. Yeah, you'd mentioned the opportunities that you have had. Clearly you saw that before you even came into the Army. Either a recruiter told you there's some great opportunities for you, or you just thought, okay, this would be a good place, a good stepping stone for my future.
Well, both. I also did my research and talking to a recruiter, really set my mind to it.
Good. What is your MOS?
A 9-2 golf, culinary specialist.
Right. Was that originally the MOS that you wanted when you enlisted?
Well, I did have other options, but while I was living in Jamaica, I did culinary courses, so that's something I always loved doing.
Okay.
So I'm familiar with the work and everything, so I went with the culinary specialist.
Okay. Where do you foresee the future of your career going with regards to being a 92 golf?
I do plan to stay in my MOS.
Okay.
Hopefully to go Warren, be really good at my job.
So be the next chief dag.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. All right, let's go back to what we were talking about earlier that you mentioned, chef of the quarter. What was that experience like for you? And provide maybe a little bit more context for that. Was it chef of the quarter within division, within 1st Cav or Fort Hood, or?
It was the chef of the quarter for 1st Division.
Okay, 1st Cav. Okay, so how many other chefs were you competing against?
We competed against all the other chefs from the DFAT, like Iron Horse, Blackjack.
Okay.
And
what exactly did that day look like? Or was that a multi-day event, multi-day competition?
Well, it was my first time ever going up against higher ups and being doing the whole board session.
Okay.
So I was really, really nervous. But speaking to the sergeant major, it went by easy. And
Okay. So our sergeant major or the Mule Skinner sergeant major?
no,
Or?
Bogle, sergeant major.
Okay. And he was over at division.
By the hub.
Got it. So you're competing with people who are senior to you in rank and perhaps experience, but you still managed to win that competition. What was it that you did? Like what won the judges over, if you will?
I think because first we had to prepare the meal, which I also did with my sergeant, First Class Thornton.
Okay.
So I think that also gave us a head start because we only lost by 1 point, and it was the name of our dish. So
Okay.
we did really good with the meal. So that really gave us a good start.
Okay.
And then afterwards, just being prepared, my uniform, everything.
Okay. Yeah. What else does it entail? It's not just cooking, obviously.
No, we also get asked about regular Army regulations.
So you have to know regulations specifically related to being a 92 Golf
And the Army.
and the Army in general.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And uniform or no uniform or anything like
Yes,
that?
uniform.
Oh, there wasn't. So you had to have like
My
your
AGSU.
uniform, AGSU inspection. No PT test though. I'm
No
assuming.
PT test.
Okay.
thankfully.
Well, good. Okay, so that was a good learning experience for you, I imagine. Obviously, that motivated you to pursue other competitions because you did one as a team here just recently, which you also touched upon. But how was that?
That was really good. And we also made 4 cakes as well with my team at the hub. So it's just opportunity after opportunity to being exposed to different things and learning new things.
So, what were some of the TTPs that you learned, tactics, techniques, and procedures that perhaps you learned from other chefs, or what did you contribute that maybe some other people did not know that you did know, but were able to help reinforce?
Well, the last competition we did, or it was new to me as well. We worked with Sergeant First Class Pelkey. So basically everything that I did was also new to me. So everything I learned was new. Piping, color flowing, icing, cake baking, all of that was new.
You're learning some skills that I don't want to assume you want to apply to perhaps a civilian profession down the road, but is that potentially what you would use some of those skills for?
Yes, I'm thinking about it.
Okay. So you've been here for a year. How long is your contract?
3 years.
3 years. I'm sure that there will be people that want to retain you beyond those 3 years and encourage you to re-enlist. And maybe another 2 years down the road is still too far away to make that decision. But have you given any thought to what you'd want to do?
I am thinking about re-enlisting for right now.
Okay. Talk to me a little bit about your time here. How did you end up at 3CR versus like Fort Campbell or Fort Carson? How did you end up here?
Oh no, the duty station was assigned to me. I didn't get to choose. So
Okay. So originally you just knew you were coming
so
to Fort Hood. You didn't know where you were going to go yet,
No.
which unit you were going to go to. You get to 3CR a year ago. You kind of meet the team. Was Chief Dag, because I got here about the same time you did, maybe a little bit.
No, I didn't meet Chief
Later.
Dag until later down after the DFAC open.
Okay. But you meet the team. What were your initial impressions of working in an Army dining facility?
Okay, so when I just got here, I was working at the kiosk, which is at Blackjack DFAC. I wasn't in Theodore because civilians were here.
Okay.
So where people was in Korea still. So I didn't really get the real DFAC experience until February of this year. But while I was in the kiosk, I still got a little bit of the admin work, head count, dealing with soldiers.
Yep.
And all that.
When did you get to the DFAC here on this side of post?
I got to the DFAC in February this year.
Okay.
It was a lot, but I quickly adjusted to it.
Okay.
Seeing that I've always been into cooking, I've worked in a dining facility before, so I quickly adjusted, and it's been amazing so far.
Okay.
Working with different people from different backgrounds, preparing different dishes every day. Yeah, it's been good.
Good. That's great. I know that there's a lot of pride that exists within this organization and a lot of appreciation for the dining facility that we have. We tend to kind of talk about how we have the best dining facility on post, which I think most of us would probably agree is true. But what is the truth in your opinion? Because you're an insider.
Okay, I do think we have the best dining facility because we have soldiers from every unit come to Theodore to eat.
So from like west side of post,
Yes.
they'll come over here.
Come to Theodore to eat. So I do believe we have the best
We have
DFAC.
the best DFAC. Good to hear. In terms of your all's ability, so this is one of the things that a lot of 92 golfs, a lot of 92 series struggle with, is having the time to like train, to meet all your like other warfighting tasks that are required of you in order to be qualified to serve in this organization. How has it been for you in terms of like, you guys still have to go out and zero and qualify on
Yes.
M4, you still have to take PT tests, you still have to do PT, but you guys are always up. You're up and working before like we're in formation getting ready for PT. So how do you find the time?
So we work by shift. So if we
Okay.
work late shift today, then we would do PT in the morning, then get ready and come to work at
Okay.
11. And if you work morning, then you don't do PT until it's your time to work late.
Who's holding you guys accountable to that? Or is that like you're individually accountable to, you have to do your own PT?
Oh no, we farm up with our squadron, RSS. So we do PT with everybody else.
But not everybody in Muleskinner is doing PT at 4 p.m, are they? So for all the people who can't do it in the morning, at morning formation, who's holding them accountable to do an evening PT?
So it's up to them to do PT in the evening if they choose to. But
Okay.
in the morning, it's a must. You have to show up to formation if you work in the evening.
Yeah, got it. And then when you guys get a chance to go out to shoot, how often does that happen?
So they would pull like 1 or 2 people from the DFAC at a time, and they would be pulled from the DFAC completely and be at the range qualifying and stuff. When they're done, they would be sent back to the DFAC.
There are other people who've been here longer than you. You know that inevitably there's going to be new 92 series coming in to the Army, specifically coming to 3CR. Let's just say you're in the DFAC day one. You're still private, maybe you're a specialist, but you're still at that level where you can connect with somebody on a personal level who is brand new to the Army. What would you say to that individual that's coming in day one to Theodore Roosevelt?
Know what your goals are and work hard to meet those goals. I would want to give them the same experience that I got when I just got here.
Mm-hmm.
If there's anything that they need help with, even though I'm a private, I'm still here. You can ask me because I've been here.
Yeah.
So just be available for new soldiers and focus on what you joined for.
Sure. Yeah, because the natural inclination of a new soldier is to ask other people, what do I do? And they may be more inclined to talk to you before they talk to like your first line leader.
That is right.
So just to give a shout out to your first line leader, who is in your chain of command right now? Who's your first line supervisor?
My first line supervisor would be Sergeant Adams, and then would be the manager, who is Sergeant First Class Hardy.
You came into the Army with culinary experiences, with some wisdom and knowledge and practical knowledge on how to cook and how to prepare food for large groups of people. So the Army does that in a unique way, but you're able to adapt. Mm-hmm. You've gotten some opportunities to kind of cultivate those skills and develop them in a way that you may not have been able to had you not been in the Army. What does your professional military glide path look like? What other classes would you take for like your education, or do you just continue to progress and then promote and then?
Yes, planning is to continue to progress in my MOS, promote.
But do they send you to any other specific schools? Like, are there different schools that you could go to better refine your ability to be a chef?
Yes. Mm-hmm. So we do have this culinary team that we can join where we would travel to different posts, compete, and do other stuff like competition against other soldiers, not only from Fort Hood, but like from other posts as well.
So that's part of your development overall. And I get the impression that they intentionally try and sign you up for these types of competitions so that you can develop more confidence in that skill and those skills required for your job, but also just to give you some more professional development as well. But ideally, I'm assuming, and I could be wrong, that you would want to someday maybe go to like a culinary arts school. Like, would that be the dream, you think?
Look into it right now, maybe in the near future, yes.
Are there people that you know that are either at the DFAC or people that you met maybe in AIT who have either done that or that's what they want to do someday? Or is that even an option?
Well, I know people in DFAT, they want to do other things outside of the MOS, but not for our MOS path, culinary school.
So not necessarily individuals who want to stay as chefs, but you do. It sounds like even after, let's say you get out of the Army in 2 years, you still want to continue down that path.
Yes.
What do you dream about doing beyond being a chef in 3rd Cavalry Regiment?
When I do get out of the Army, I would like to own my own restaurant. So perfection in my skills here would lead to that. Like I would gain all the knowledge and get on the right path in doing that.
Like specifically Jamaican food, or what kind of restaurant?
Jamaican, of course.
Okay, yeah. No, that's that. I didn't want to assume that, but that's great. That's awesome to hear. You wouldn't necessarily need to go to culinary arts school to do that, but you have a pretty solid idea of what that would look like.
Yes.
Okay, so just a curiosity question: do you ever have an opportunity to cook like Jamaican food in the DFAC?
Not in the DFAC. No.
Okay, so there's no leftover anything that you can use to make any dishes.
No.
That's unfortunate, because that would be great if we could have more international foods in the DFAC, but that's neither here nor there at this point. Well, getting back to your time at 3CR, you had mentioned that this has been a good experience. You got here while we were in Korea. Mm-hmm. They didn't forward deploy you to Korea because they needed you here. It's been a good experience. And it sounds like it's been a good experience because you've met a lot of interesting people and you've had a lot of good experiences, but you can get that anywhere.
Yes.
Not necessarily in 3CR. Is there something specific to being in this organization that has contributed more to your personal development as an individual than maybe you would? I don't know. It's kind of having a hard time kind of articulating this, but
the people in 3CR have made it a good experience, seeing that this has been my first duty station.
Okay.
I'm really grateful to have such wonderful people to deal with, understanding if there's ever an issue, I know I have people that I can go to.
Right. Mm-hmm. Good. Well, I guess the prospect of either going overseas at some point in time or even doing like an NTC rotation, especially as like a first-term soldier in the Army where you've never really done any of that before. What are your thoughts about maybe doing something like that?
Going overseas, if we do go back to Korea, I think that would be an amazing experience as well. I do want to travel outside of the U.S. and experience a different country, so I would be excited for that. NTC, I've heard about NTC. I'm not so excited for that, but it would also be a good learning experience for me, given the fact that I've never been in an actual field and worked in a field environment before.
I think it would. Everything is what you make of it, right? Mm-hmm. So we can either make an NTC experience a miserable experience, or we can find the joy in being in a place like that and getting an opportunity to maybe see somewhere different. Although you're from California, Southern California, Northern California?
I actually stayed in Fort Irwin.
Oh, okay. So you're very familiar with that area,
so
that part
not
of the
so
state.
excited if we do go to NTC.
Yeah, it is. If you don't like the desert, then it's not a great place to be. I always encourage soldiers, regardless of their MOS, really if you're going to get out after your first contract, to at least try going to one more assignment before you're just like, I'm done with the Army. Mm-hmm. So if you did re-enlist, would you consider staying here or would you consider going somewhere else?
Going somewhere else for sure.
And of course, there's lots of overseas opportunities as well, but any places that you would be interested in going?
Probably Germany or Georgia. Those are
Germany or Georgia?
Yes,
okay, so like
right
Fort
now.
Benning, probably most likely.
Your Fort Stewart.
Or Fort Stewart. Yeah, Fort Stewart, close to Savannah. Savannah's an awesome town. So that would be a great place to go as well. I'll put it this way. You've got 2 years. Mm-hmm. Have you done a spur ride yet?
No.
Don't be intimidated by the spur ride. I think you could do it. If you can win like Chef of the Quarter, you can do a spur ride, because I think Chef of the Quarter is more stressful than a spur ride.
But Texas is hard, because we had one recently. One of my battle buddy did it, and he almost got heat cat. So
was it the one during Brave Rifles Week? That we did
Brave
last
Rifles.
month?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a iffy. I don't know
iffy.
if I would like do a spur ride. I don't know.
Well, I understand that you can come into the Army, you can meet great people, and you can completely ignore the culture itself. Mm-hmm. And the culture, I mean the stuff like the spur rides and the history and wearing the Stetsons and all that stuff that we do. I mean, obviously there's more to it than that, but those are the things that are specific to 3rd Cavalry Regiment. But then there's like just getting to know other people and just meeting people from different parts of the country and parts of the world in many cases that you've never met before. And that obviously can happen anywhere. But one of the things I think that is formative for us is really as human beings, but as soldiers as well, as to when we have those opportunities to try and just enjoy and embrace the culture. When we went to Korea, just in terms of embracing the culture there, because if you go to Korea, there will be plenty of opportunities to do things that are just seem foreign to you and might seem a little odd and challenging, but nevertheless, it endears you towards the culture itself. Was to go to some of the events that they held locally, like right outside of Camp Hovey. We had a few things like the mayor of the town right outside of Camp Hovey invited some of us to go to a concert event for, I can't remember if it was a major holiday or not, and it was just a fun opportunity to do something different and to meet some new people. So if I see you, and maybe if I see Sergeant Major Carter too, I'll put a bug in his ear, but to encourage you to consider something like that. Think about it. It'd be fun. It is fun because it's an opportunity to hang out with people. And, if you're the type of individual that likes to get to know other people, like you're spending 24 or 26 hours around a small group of people, but probably people that you don't know. No. I think the best thing that you can communicate to our audience, private gunning, is what you have individually gotten out of the Army, because as you've probably seen, people come into the Army, they don't know what they're doing with their lives. They come into the Army and they don't experience anything transformative in their lives. If anything, they're just kind of perpetually miserable. But a lot of that is related to the individual, not to the circumstances that they put themselves in. But you have come from not only a different part of the country, but from a different country entirely, and felt called to come into the Army. And now you're having this very formative experience that's developing you as a person. What would you say to those individuals that are unsure about whether or not they should come into the Army, or just like, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life, I might as well just enlist in the Army?
Well, if you have a goal and you do join the Army, stick to that plan. It's easy to get distracted when you come here, especially dealing with, you might have great leaders, you might not. So even if you do have a bad leader, don't let that discourage you from just getting out because, this is not for you, because you might go somewhere else and get a better experience in a different unit. So if you have a goal, stick to it and work hard to accomplish what you set out for yourself.
Yeah.
If you're thinking about joining the Army just because, you're still going to have to work hard. It's not just all rainbows and sunshine. You're going to have to put in the work and get your job done.
Yes. Yeah, and I agree. I love that. That's a good way to look at it. It's not rainbows and sunshine, and it's not like that anywhere. Let's be honest.
Yes.
Like any job, there is no dream job where everything just kind of falls into your lap. There is hard work, and what I've learned throughout life is, if you love something that much, it will require hard work. Like there's no job I've never loved that I didn't have to first do some really hard work to get. That's great to hear. And I think it's helpful for you to say that versus someone like me, just because I know I have a broader perspective on the Army and kind of understand how it works. But you're still relatively new. And yet you have a spirit of optimism that a lot of people probably that you work with could stand to have themselves and really struggle to maintain, I'm sure. So I hope that you can continue to be a source of encouragement to your teammates. And I do thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's been great. So thanks again for joining us on the Legends Among Us podcast. Have a great week. Aya.